Democrats ambush the Department of Education? Well, this should be interesting.
Sunday anchor Shannon Bream, also in her red, way to represent. One more thing from Pam Bondi. This is about the crackdown against sanctuary cities.
What they're doing is they are choosing illegal aliens over the safety and security of their own citizens and the men and women of law enforcement who are out there trying to protect their citizens. Not only did we sue today the city of Chicago, we sued the state of Illinois, we sued the mayor, we sued the governor, and we sued others. And let me be...
You know what that reminds me of? What she just said? Okay, if you're a Beavis and Butthead fan, there's a lawyer that would pop up from time to time in episodes, and he would be one of those like ambulance chasing lawyers and everything, and he would be like, "Okay, boys, we are going to sue the school system, we are going to sue the girl, and we are going to sue the girl's parents." Like he would go down a list of people that they were gonna sue. It's funny, trust me.
Be very clear. If you don't comply with federal law, you're going to be next.
Shannon, how will the
You're next!
city of Chicago handle all of that firepower?
You should know where that's from.
Well,
you should know who that
as
is.
you know, they've been very defiant. And what they've heard from is their local citizens who say, why in the world are you prioritizing other folks in this community who came here without the proper legal means over us when our communities are suffering, they're dying, they're struggling. So you've got the feds now. He's got his local folks. Mayor Brandon Johnson is going to have his hands full. I think the interesting thing is, as you heard there from the Attorney General, they're going to go after funding streams. But again, the possibility that local and state officials themselves could get in trouble, legal trouble. If you will remember the original executive orders from President Trump, they talked about this, cutting not only the funding streams, but possibly civil and criminal actions against people that they believe are impeding or actively stopping ICE from doing its federal enforcement job.
You know, Shannon, I want to ask you about the state attorneys general issuing this new statement on their lawsuit about doge access to sensitive personal information. This seems to be becoming a bigger and bigger, fighting point for Democrats. In that statement, it reads, "This level of access for
Yeah, why are they so messed up about that? Like there's like all these organizations have a ton of access to our personal information anyway. Like, why is it a big problem now for them? Because Republicans doing it?
authorized individuals is unlawful, unprecedented, and unacceptable. Doge has no authority to access this information which they explicitly sought in order to block critical payments that millions of Americans rely on. We will be filing a lawsuit to stop this injustice." So there's 13 states that are vowing to file lawsuits. We've got a list of them. Is it just this, or is this just a sign of the times and a growing number of Democrats who are just trying to fight Trump's agenda?
Yeah, and I think that's what they're going to do. They say the fight is now in the courts because that's where they're going to have to go for every single one of these things that filters out from the executive branch. Remember, too, the executive order that created Doge actually took an entity that already existed, the United States Digital Service Office, and they just retooled it. So those who are supporting Doge say, listen, the underlying legal framework for this entity already existed. The president has repurposed it to this Doge mission. But you do have lawsuits from federal employees, their unions. You've got it now coming apparently from these attorneys general as well. It is going to be a all-hands-on-deck battle over all this executive action because, of course, much easier to flood the zone with that than it is to get things done legislatively on the Hill that take a lot more time and, in most cases, some level of bipartisanship and cooperation.
Shannon, I don't know if you can see this, but let me describe something that's happening live to you right now. There are about a dozen lawmakers, Democrats, attempting to get a meeting with the acting education secretary. This comes as President Trump has said the Department of Education, it might be something where Secretary McMahon, if she's confirmed, would get herself out of a
Linda McMahon
job. And also you had the former Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, writing yesterday in the Free Press. She thinks the Department of Education should be eliminated. This is one of those things where they're probably not going to get access to this building, but the Democrats are flummoxed as to how to deal with this, Shannon.
Yeah, Dana, I think you're right. We see them showing up and protesting outside of a number of buildings, or actually, as we saw on Capitol Hill yesterday, I think it was, actually forcing themselves and their way into a meeting that they wanted to be a part of. And I think right now they feel like chaos is the strategy. I think that was the line that was in...
the Democrats are an agent of chaos.
Playbook maybe this morning, talking about the fact that they know that they're going to be overwhelmed with all of these actions, all the things that they, are trying to get a hold of. They're showing up. We've seen protests. We've seen we're at war. We've seen them say, take this to the streets. It does feel like the Democrats are kind of back on their heels trying to get control of the messaging, much less the substance of all these different things that are happening, Dana.
And I think the one congressman I can make out there is taking the photograph right now. I believe that's Maxwell Frost. And they're talking to a security guard.
Frost!
So let me just turn it back over to
I should know where that's from, too.
Sandra, to ask you another question as we watch these Democrats who...
I had somebody comment the other day. They was like, I love how you do all these different sound bites. That's how it is for Scarlo to live with me. I don't just do this for you guys. I do this when I'm by myself. But I also do this when I'm with her. I can be in the middle of a store. I could be sitting down watching TV. Someone says something that reminds me of something. I'm going to let you know that it does indeed remind me of something.
I guess it's performative art in a way, Sandra, to try to make a point.
Absolutely. You notice the camera's up, and you're noting Maxwell Frost, the congressman from Florida, in the picture there. Apparently, this is a security guard. But Shannon, obviously, this is just further signs of what is to come. I spoke with Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary, yesterday, and asked her about the president's intentions with the Department of Education. They're not detailing exactly where they're going with this, but there has been a lot of talk about dismantling it altogether or reworking it, but we just don't know, and that uncertainty leads to a lot of this.
It does, and conservatives have...
Well, I don't know what's wrong with dismantling the education department. I don't know what's wrong with retooling it, since our children are not reading at the levels they should be. The math scores aren't what they should be. United States children just aren't as smart as they used to be, or as fit. So we need to get education up and fitness up and health up. Okay? Come on now.
Have been talking about this for a long time, that they feel like states are much better equipped to handle the education system. It's closer to the parents, it's closer to the people that are directly involved, the students as well. So it's one of those agencies that has been targeted by conservatives to say this doesn't need to be this federal behemoth that has all of this money, when states and localities and local school districts know much more about what their students need. They are much more accountable to the parents who show up at these meetings, which we've seen the last few years, to demand answers and accountability for their kids. So not surprising that there would be this conversation about taking this away from the federal level and sending it back to local and state. But I think ideally for conservatives, they want it as local as possible. And that means a threat to the federal agency that now exists.
Shannon, let's try to see if we can hear anything going on.
On your own behalf, were you told to come out and block members of Congress?
They know that we are here. Max, ask the question again. That's the important.
Were you told, are you making this decision to stand in front of this door on your own behalf, on behalf of the Department of Education, or were you told to come out here and block members of Congress and go at the desk?
I'm doing my job.
So everybody's freelancing?
What is that?
We're doing our job.
We're trying to save you. We're doing our job.
So I guess he's is this just security?
Show me your ID. Were you told to stand here, or did you decide to stand here?
Maybe he's not security. Maybe he's because they're like,
here and block members of Congress from entering the Department of Education.
Access.
maybe he is.
Federal building?
He's a security
We're allowed in there.
So a private security contractor
Okay.
Do you know who members of Congress are?
members of
Sure, we're all members
Congress.
of Congress.
Maybe he doesn't understand. Do you
A private
understand who
security
members of Congress are?
contractor is making the decision to block members of Congress from a public access entrance.
With them running up in there like that, I'm like, okay, so you want to keep our children the way they are? Is that what you're saying? you don't want to make our children smarter. You don't want to make our children healthier. You don't want to make sure that things aren't being spent improperly. Like, I don't understand.
I don't think he knows.
You have the authority as a private security contractor to block members of Congress. That has been knighted and granted to you.
You have to at least let us go.
No comment. He's security, so it is what it is. They hired him to secure the building, so it is what it is.
Open the door. So do you understand who members of Congress are? Well, and you don't care. Who are we then? You don't care. We have a job to do.
We're not dangerous people. We're not. I don't know. We're members security. There are no thieves and thugs out here. We're members of Congress. We're parents. We're teachers.
Watch somebody crazy say, they're hiring mercenaries as security to keep us out.
There's our ID, right there.
We were elected to do this.
This is our job.
I mean, how long has he been holding up that ID? He already knows who you are. I mean, y'all can argue him down, but he's not moving. I would just leave. You know what I mean? But I guess maybe they're performing for the cameras. I mean, you get in there, cameras get their shot, and then you leave. He's not going to let you in. You all going to have to bum rush him and beat him up, and they're not going to do that. That'd make him look real bad, you know? So it's like, just leave. Go back another day.
We're doing our jobs.
You're securing this building against who?
Members of Congress. Members of Congress.
Who are you
The people.
protecting in
That's
this?
members of the people's
So
house.
this is the
These are
beginning of
people.
full transparency of this administration.
That's right.
The administration that talked about they're going to open the doors to all of these things and show the American public what is going on.
Transparency.
They won't even open the door to this building,
That's
to
right. Go to the
members of
visitor
Congress.
desk.
Or
We are
anyone.
not posing any threat here.
Not
No, we are not
whatsoever.
dangerous people. We have not
They
done
won't even
anything.
let us
We're
talk to
trying
the
to
Department.
request.
How about what you've been doing to the children and educating them and what you've been feeding them and how low their scores are? I would say that if you're for what's been going on, then you would be dangerous.
A meeting, and they have a private security contractor who on his own is making decisions on behalf of the Department of Education.
We are
So
members of
Congressman
Congress.
Hayes,
At the
what you're saying is they're not,
all-access
they allow billionaires and his minions to come in
I don't
to
know
this
who
building.
he is. I don't know who he is, but I know who I am. And I'm a member of Congress with oversight responsibilities trying to request a meeting, and a private security contractor is not allowing me to enter the building.
And
They allow billionaires to go in this building, but not the people's representatives. They allow billionaires and their cronies to come in, but not, there's a lack of transparency here. The members of Congress, the people's representatives are not allowed in. This is not transparency.
They're locking our kids out. Well, not only are they not letting us in, now they've called the Department of Homeland Security. We are members of Congress here to talk with the Department of Education, and they're treating us.
Kids deserve to have us
Yes,
go in and fight for them.
This is appalling.
Children of this country deserve that battle.
I always wonder if dudes like this don't just go bald. Like, if my hair got to that, it's time. You know what I'm saying? It's time! Fighting off of his hairline. And like, come on. Like, I think some guys think that that's a presentable hairstyle. I don't know why keep it on the sides like that. It's been going on for a very, very long time, though. You know what I mean? For thousands of years, they've been letting their hair get to that. I would just shave it off. You look smoother. You know what I mean? Might look like the transporter.
This is a public institution. This is not Russia. Let the camera see.
He look like straight up Lex Luthor. Look at the scowl on his face. He shaved it all off. He looked like Lex Luthor.
Him. Let the camera see. This man here.
We are members of Congress.
Come in.
They're
and
blocking
I want you to
us.
see this man here, who is a federal employee. He told us.
He's not.
Are you a federal employee? Huh?
Yes.
No, he said he's a federal employee. We pay him. We raise money to make sure that we have a Department of Education. Everybody that's hired at the Department of Education are here because we pay for them to be here. He's standing here today, blocking the door, and he can't give us a good reason why he's blocking this door.
Make sure they see right here, all access entrance.
Well, and I think it should be clear to parents in the United States, if you want to advocate on behalf of your children, you are not allowed to come into this building where you pay taxes. Parents who have children who are disabled, access is being blocked. You voted for members of Congress to advocate on behalf of your children with disabilities, for young women who have in our classrooms, on our school grounds. Members of OCR are fighting for your children. We are not allowed in the building to talk to them.
Listen, the American people voted for this. They voted for Trump to fix everything that's been going wrong. So everything you saying, my sister's falling on deaf ears. Trust me on that.
Are not allowed to advocate on behalf of America's children. America, we have a problem.
Now, everybody stand back.
All right, so this is the Department of Education. You've got members of Congress from the Democratic side of the aisle trying to get in the building. You have a security guard who never wanted to be on television today, basically doing his job and denying them access. It is interesting that Fox News is the only one covering this live, and apparently this is what the Democrats want, right? They want to be on television. That's Maxine Waters complaining, Sandra, that they can't get in the building. And then you had other members of Congress saying that if you want to get in and fight for your children, you're not allowed. But we had some news this week that would make it sound like that's a little bit too late, guys.
Our nation's report card was shocking. The report card showed 7 out of 10 fourth graders are not proficient readers, Dana, a number that has worsened since the last report card in 2022. Worse, the numbers haven't improved.
So many other countries put so much value on education, like you got certain African countries, and they come over here and they be kicking our behinds. You know what I'm saying? And it's and that's one of those things when I tell you it's all about culture. You know what I mean? You got Chinese people coming over here, you got Indian, you got different cultures, different races of people that come over from different countries where they place more of a value on succeeding and making your family proud and becoming educated properly and stuff like that. And I believe some of them are a little too hard on their children. I've heard some of this stuff and heard about tiger parents in China and all this. But my point is this: they come over here and they kick our behinds. They make our kids look like dummies. Okay? Our children should be just as smart as children in other countries. However, we're falling behind. It needs to be fixed. What are they fighting to keep it the same? It doesn't make any sense.
In 3 decades, we're seeing the same thing for the middle schoolers. At the 8th grade level, less than a third of American students enter high school with the reading and comprehension skills that they need at that point in their lives. I mean, you talk about not getting access to the building, you're hearing from these folks, to go advocate for the kids. Well, what have they done lately, right? That report card has not improved in first.
Sometimes the teachers are bad. I know when I got to college was when I was truly shown how to write sentences properly all the time. Okay? Because I used to do run-on sentences and improper punctuation with certain points. And I didn't truly know it until I got to college. I remember staying after class one time, and the teacher, she had told me that, something was wrong with, what I had written. And she showed me, and I'm sitting there like, I was like, why the hell did they tell me this all these years? Like, no one ever sat down and told me. Like, it was so simple, what she had told me. I remember I had issues with math, even though I always passed the math. I had issues with certain things in math when I was a little younger in elementary. Once I got to high school, I had a math teacher, Mr. Pichel. So shout out to Mr. Pichel. And he taught me he taught me like everything, algebra. It was so easy the way he made it. So easy. But beforehand in elementary, wasn't so easy. Sometimes just the teachers. You know what I mean? Sometimes just the teachers. And I love most of my teachers from elementary school, but, you know, there was something that was amiss. And some, like I said, it's the teachers, it's their methods, something like that. And sometimes it's the whole society. They don't put enough emphasis on the education of the child. And we've got other problems. We've got other problems with our whole educational system too, more than just that, because I think they place way too much on college, on going to college. I remember people wanted me to speak at a high school, and once they found out that I did not graduate college, they didn't want me to come. See, and I'm like, I'm in, you know, with all my stats about me as a male, I'm in like the top, I don't know, 15% of males. You know what I mean? Like, come on now. Like, I'm qualified to speak. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of kids and young adults that were in the same position that I was in younger, and they would benefit. I'm not a criminal, okay? Never been even handcuffed before. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, what's the problem here?
In fact, our nation's report card has worsened. There's a huge problem with the public school system in this country, and it has been failing our nation's children.
Shannon Breen, let's bring you in as Maxine Waters continues to berate the...
She always talks like her nose is stuffed up or something, don't she? She always sounds congested, like something's going on here.
Yeah, and listen, this is a great optic for Democrats who will want to use this and go out. You're going to see this stuff everywhere, probably. They've already got their teams rolling on it. And certainly this is what you do in Washington. There's the messaging and the optics of this, too. But I would point back to how many GOP lawmakers, just earlier this week, Senator Joni Ernst said every time she tried to get answers from USAID, and I'm not saying she showed up physically, she may have, but every time that members of Congress try to get information from a federal agency, there can be an issue. She talked about that. Talk to Senator Chuck Grassley, who has sent subpoenas and requests for information all over to federal agencies, to the DOJ, to all kinds of places, only to be told basically talk to the hand and not get the information. So this is a physical showing up and not getting to where you want to go, but you may get the optics that you want. But Republican members on the Hill will tell you many, many times they've tried to get information from federal agencies, maybe not in a physical sense, but very much in a way that they claim they also have access to information and have been told, no, you're not getting it, or met with silence.
Wow. Yeah, we put the report card on the screen. You see the red arrows. That is the decline in the performance of our nation's children in math and reading in grades 4 and 8. But
I'm the type, if I decided to have children, like I'm the type to want to homeschool them, because I think that our influence would be better than the school's influence. But here's the problem. A lot of homeschool kids end up, they don't function properly mentally. You know what I'm saying? They end up being really smart, but they don't function right because they haven't been socialized properly around children growing up. It's kind of like when I grew up really religious. A lot of religious kids, even though I was at a public school, I really wasn't allowed to truly hang around a lot of other children a lot, so it kept me sheltered. Stuckman did a video, and I think I'm not sure if it was the one where he came out about his sexuality or whatever. I can't remember, but he talks about being raised as a Jehovah's Witness, and I was too. So, like, there were certain things that we developed slower than other children because of the manner in which we were raised in the religion. And I was like, it spoke to me. So I was like, yo! And it didn't happen to all Jehovah's Witness kids. I remember there are several Jehovah's Witness kids that I grew up with that did not have the developmental problems that I had. I matured slower mentally. The way I thought about things and understood things in society did not click properly until I would say my early to mid 20s. And it should have happened in my teens or earlier. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's so strange how being a sheltered child can, now I'm fine. And I've always made friends easily, and I was always likable. I was always one of the funny kids in class. But people still thought I was a little different, you know, off or strange or, you know, weird. And but then as I got older, it was just like, you know, as I came into my manhood and everything, and, you know, everything just blossomed, and, you know, and I'm fine. I've been fine for a very long time. Don't have a problem making friends. Don't have a problem socializing with people whatsoever. You know, women come aplenty whenever I'm single. Like, everything's good, you know? So, yeah, but...
You obviously are looking at Democrats.
So going back to the homeschooling, it's like, get our schools right, so people like me aren't afraid to send our children to you. You know what I'm saying?
As part of this agenda that has been laid out, trying to obstruct. We don't know what the exact plans are, right, Shannon? The White House has still not been clear where they're going to go with this, but they are certainly highlighting this as a serious problem in this country. We don't know exactly what is happening here. We're not told exactly why this person's not letting them into the building, but certainly he said, we heard him say a moment ago, he's doing his job, so he's been asked to do this. But Shannon, maybe we'll get some clarity soon on this.
Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting to me if they did go into the building, what would happen next? I mean, I think that they want to make a protest. They want to ask questions about what's going to happen, but I'm not sure what would be accomplished if they did go inside. There's not a confirmed Department of Education secretary. As you said, we don't know what the policy is going to be moving forward, but we know there's serious questions about how the department is functioning, what it's been focusing on, where it's been spending its money, and what that says in contrast to how states and localities may be better equipped to handle it. At least that's the argument from conservatives.
Shannon Brain, thanks for hanging with us. Linda McMahon is President Trump's nominee to head the Department of Education. That confirmation hearing will take place next Thursday, February 13th. And we'll just, I guess Maxine Waters is just going to stay out there. We're going to take a quick break.
We're going to take a quick break. Wow. I got more out of that than I thought that I would, you know. Really talked. I like talking a lot, but I like to make sure I'm hitting points. You know what I'm saying? And that felt good to talk about all of that. Post your comments down below. Let me know what you all think, though. If you enjoyed my thoughts, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. Woo! Come on, Trump. Come on, Doge. Elon Musk. Get our educational system correct.